Now, Behind the Law with Justin Clark and Allie Mack on ESPN 580 Orlando.
And welcome to the program. It's another edition of Behind the Law right here on ESPN 580 Orlando. My name is attorney Justin Clark. Thank you for spending your weeknights here with us on our favorite sports radio station. We follow Nikki Football. Good job tonight, Nikki Football. All your sports. We talk sports, law, and lifestyle. You can also watch the program at Behind the Law Radio on Facebook, Instagram, any of those social media things, right? Whatever they're called. Platforms. Whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. I try to stay away from the social media, but I have to. It sucks me in. You can also watch the TV show this Sunday and every Sunday. It's Behind the Law on television, 10 a.m. on TV 27. Today on the program, we're going to do the news with Allie Mack. It's what's going on. We'll also play Stump the Clarkie. And we have a special guest coming into the studio. She is a family law attorney, Erica Burns. If you're going through a divorce or you have some custody questions, or are you overpaying for child support? We're going to talk to Erica about all of that as well. Joining me to my right, the producer of the program, the beautiful Brianna. Hello, Brianna. How are you?
I am well. How are you, Justin?
I'm well. I don't see Allie Mack again today. I know she hasn't been feeling well. We hope she's feeling better. She will be back in the next day or so. So are you going to handle the news for her today, or how are we doing this?
I thought you were going to do that.
Yeah, right. You better be handling the news. And, I don't even know, when the show comes on anymore. Normally, I would say, thank you for joining us at 8 o'clock every single weeknight, but these sports events have been hijacking my radio program.
That's true.
I mean, every single night, it's like, are we doing a show? We're not doing a show. But anyway, thank you for joining us, even though I really don't even know what time it is right now. And the studio is kind of a mess, too. I mean, it smells good because you have a candle burning, but we got to clean up the entrance to the studio. So if you don't know, we actually do the radio program in my law firm. I built this private room in the very back where I used to have a couch and a TV and things like that. And we turned it into a radio studio. But it's kind of private. So you walk through the kitchen area at the firm, right? And then it says private. And that's where all the electronic equipment is. And then there's this private door because I didn't want anyone to know it was back here. And we turned that into a studio. But as you walk back here, it's an absolute disaster.
It is.
And how do we clean this up? It's starting to annoy me a little bit.
Set it all on fire.
Yeah. You better tell me when to go to break on this, too, by the way, because as normal, I didn't start any sort of clock, Brianna.
Man.
So you tell me, because it's the first
happening?
segment, so you'll probably be able to at least tell when we started, right?
That helps.
And then another thing that's annoying me a little bit. I love Amazon, I do, but I bought a new mic stand. If you're watching this, by all means, go to Behind the Law Radio. You can watch the show, and you can see this mic stand that I bought. And I bought the expensive one thinking it would be better, right?
Right.
Than the crappier ones that are over there.
You paid more.
I paid more. I just assumed if I pay more, it's going to be better. No. I mean, it's bigger.
It is bigger.
But it's still flimsy, floppy.
is.
I mean, this is the problem when you buy stuff on Amazon. You don't know if it's going to stink or not. I mean, this one is not that good.
It looks nice, but it's not holding your mic up.
I know. I mean, it seems like just such a waste of space. I mean, I do like having a little bit more of a work area here.
You're going to hurt your neck bending down
But
like that.
I don't necessarily love it, I guess. 321-282-1055. We'll do what's going on. We'll play Stump the Clarkie. We'll also talk to Erica Burns. We have another special guest here today, though. Daniele, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, so you're from England, right? Football fan or not football fan?
Depends what football we're talking about.
You're football. With the F.
Soccer, yeah.
Yeah, soccer. Who do you like?
Manchester United.
You're a Man U fan.
They just
Such
won.
like
They just won. So.
I saw that. So I'm a Crystal Palace fan. Everyone's like, Crystal Palace? How do you even know about that South London side? When I was first in law school, we represented soccer players or footballers, and one of our guys went over to Crystal Palace. So it was a big deal for us, because that's a premiership club, although at that time they were in the championship.
Yeah.
But to this day, many Crystal Palace fans will tell you that my client is the single worst player they've ever had in the history of Crystal Palace. So we try not to talk about that too much. But yeah, I saw Manchester United won in the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Who did they beat?
PSG.
Oh, yeah. Where do you watch?
Game.
If there's a big soccer game going on,
Right.
do you have any certain bar that you really like to go to watch the game?
Sometimes I go to, there's a bar by me called St. Andrews.
Where's that?
In Altamont.
Okay.
So.
I don't know where that is. I mean, I know where Altamont is, but I don't know where St. Andrews is. Where is that in Altamont?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, never mind.
Don't ask me.
Well, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for
Thank
helping
you.
out around the firm. We appreciate it. You're doing a fantastic job. And
Appreciate
without
it.
further ado, I think it's time to do a little bit of news.
If it's on the internet, she's talking about it. It's What's Going On with Allie Mack.
What's going on? What's going on?
Allie Mack is out today. Filling in for Allie Mack, it's the beautiful Brianna. Brianna, what's going on?
I'm going to be honest, it's kind of a slow news day.
Yeah. Or you mean you just didn't look for news until you realized that Allie Mack wasn't coming in?
No, that was an hour ago.
Okay, go ahead. How am I doing on time? What do we got?
You know what? Let's see how we're doing on time. We're good. We got 4 minutes.
All right, you just let me know. You're listening to Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark, Brianna, what's going on?
Well, one thing I did want to talk about is that Blockbuster. Remember them?
Do we? Yeah, I mean, Friday night, going to the local Blockbuster, that was a very good memory for all of us until we realized that was a huge pain in the ass. We don't have to do that anymore.
I know. Then Netflix started, and does anyone remember the time when Netflix used to mail you DVDs?
Oh, yes, of course.
Like, that was the original Netflix. Everyone thinks like, oh, I was always able to order it off my TV, and that's
I haven't thought about that in a while, but you're right.
Yeah, that's
All right.
right. And that's how they beat Blockbuster, is that people didn't have to leave their house. They had to walk to the mailbox. Anyways, there was a tracker out on all the remaining Blockbuster stores because there were some still out there. There were 5. And now there's only 1.
Where is it? The
It's
original?
in Oregon. No, it's
Why?
not even the original one.
But why? I mean, why? No internet out there? I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know why. The article didn't say, but people were saying that it's about to go extinct. It's the last Blockbuster on the planet. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Bye-bye. Do we still have Redbox?
There's a few.
Yeah?
I see them. I remember when Redbox was released. I went to high school in Jacksonville, and crime was a little outrageous.
Erica Burns, let me bring you in here for a minute, Erica. First of all, thanks for being here. We're going to talk to you and ask you some really tough questions about divorce, custody, all that stuff here and on the other side of this break for sure. But what do you think? When's the last time you've been to a Redbox?
Honestly, I haven't been to a Redbox probably in 3 years.
Yeah.
But I used to go faithfully.
Really?
Yes, I loved Redbox.
No. They were snatching. They were.
That seems like the best place to steal someone's credit card information. Have
Yeah.
one of those little swipe things
Or
like at the
just
gas station.
steal a DVD.
They stole the whole machines in Jacksonville, guys. I'm telling you.
Really?
They stole the entire machine. The
That
kangaroo.
sounds like Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It does.
That's messed
Up
up.
the street from my
Only in
house. He
Jacksonville.
replaced it 3 times in 1 week, and then he said never again. They were taking the whole machine, and then reselling the DVDs.
Wonder how they got it open.
All right. Bye-bye,
Ingenuity
Blockbuster.
of
What
the
else is
hood.
in the news?
What else was in the news is that they released the best places to live in the country, and guess where Orlando ranked?
Dead last? I don't know.
57?
Oh, yeah.
17th, guys.
That's pretty good.
Oh,
What in the
really?
world?
I think
Those
we're
are-
also we're around the 17th biggest media market as well. It might
That's
be
pretty
16
awesome.
or 15 now. We'll pull that up and let you know in a minute. But I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I never would have ever thought that I would end up in Orlando, Florida. I had no family here. When I moved here 10 years ago, I didn't know one single person. Now I have 2 kids, and I'm pretty happy here, honestly. I think
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool place to live. A lot of my friends out in Boston or California or whatever will still say, like, why would I come visit you there? I mean, it's just Disney World. I'm like, you don't understand. That's like a real city.
Yeah.
You know?
And there is a lot
There's
to
a
do.
lot
There's
more.
a lot
Of course.
to do.
I mean, the restaurants are
I
getting
can spend
better.
an entire day on International Drive.
Honestly, yeah.
Eating and getting on the eye,
Sitting in
bowling.
traffic.
Right.
Anyone can spend time sitting in
Dodging
traffic.
tourists. I'm just kidding. Kind of.
Last bit of news I have here is that Earth Fair, which is a fresh market, is going to be set to open up near downtown Orlando, which is not normally big news, except that downtown Orlando is a food desert. And a lot of people don't know that. There's not a lot of access to fresh foods.
Well, I'm going to ask you the obvious question.
Yes.
What is a food desert?
A food desert means you don't have access to fresh foods.
I just
So
like it when someone
it's-
says something and they just assume you know what they're talking about.
Right.
I mean, food desert. I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
I've heard of food. I've heard of a desert. I've even heard of dessert. But I've never once heard of a food desert.
I definitely thought it was something you coined just
Yeah,
now
of
on your
course.
own.
not. It
No,
is
it's
not.
a thing.
It's a
Okay.
thing.
Everyone in this room was looking at you like, what are you talking about?
Whoops.
Food desert.
Sorry, let me put my college degree away. My bad.
I do know how to spell desert because you only want to go to the desert once.
One time.
And that's
for
why there's only one S. Yeah, you want to eat
Yes.
dessert twice, and that's why there are 2 S's in
Now
dessert.
I want dessert.
Super funny.
321-282-1055. It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Look, no one wants to go through a divorce. No one wants to have any sort of child custody issues. But unfortunately, half of us that get married go through a divorce. And it stinks. I mean, it's tough. It can be tough. But, having the right lawyer by your side can be very helpful to where you don't get taken advantage of when it comes to child support, alimony. And do we still have that thing called permanent alimony? Let's ask those questions and more to attorney Erica Burns, all right on the other side of this break. It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando.
Now back to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, right here on ESPN 580 Orlando.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for spending your evenings here with us on Behind the Law. It's attorney Justin Clark, joined by another attorney today, Erica Burns. She's with Purely Legal. She does mostly family law over there. I thought it'd be interesting for you to hear because, look, 50% of us that get married get divorced, Erica.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, can we not all just get along at some point? I mean, what's going on out here? Is that still true? 50% of people get divorced?
That is still true. 50% of people in America are getting divorced.
Before we really get into the nitty-gritty, and again, please stick around. We're going to answer all your divorce questions, custody questions, but who's Erica Burns?
So Erica Burns is, as you stated, I'm an attorney. I'm a partner at Purely Legal. I have two partners, Rashad Favors. He's actually in our D.C. office, and he also helps man our Maryland office. I also have a partner here in Florida. His name is Orlando Shepard. I went to law school at Florida State University. I am originally actually from Buffalo, New York.
Eee.
Can you believe it?
That's where all that snow and cold weather is.
Yes, and 70 degrees still makes me cold when
Right?
it happens here in Florida. Yes, I've been here for about 14 years now, so I'm pretty much a Floridian. But yeah, I'm excited to be here today. I'm glad you guys invited me, and really interested in trying to, educate some of the listeners here today.
We keep hearing about this permanent alimony, and they're going to get rid of it, or what is it? What is permanent alimony?
So permanent alimony is just like it sounds. You will be permanently paying your spouse until you die. Or she dies, or he dies, or gets remarried.
How do you get that?
Yeah, please.
There's a number of ways. The easiest way is to not be working during the majority of the marriage and be married for longer than 17 years.
A lot of guys out there right now thinking, I don't know about this.
Make sure she has a job.
Oh, yeah? That's the key, huh?
Honey,
Well, you know what? There's a lot of women out here, too, paying alimony these
I
days.
know. I didn't mean to say. I meant guys and gals.
I got your back, girls.
Yeah, don't worry. No one. We're not on the air anyway. I'm just kidding. We are. So there was some talk before about permanent alimony going away or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What was that all about? Did that happen?
It did not happen.
Okay.
No, it did not happen. It was just talk. I think it was really more of a lobbyist type movement that the Florida courts or the legislature just felt like, no, we're keeping it. We're keeping it.
So essentially, if you're listening, if you're married and you are the one that is the breadwinner, I mean, there's a chance that if you're married more than 17 years, you could pay alimony to your former spouse for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. And there's even a chance, I really hate to say this, but if you can meet the high burden, even if you've been married for less than 7 years, you can be paying permanent alimony. I mean, the circumstances are extreme, but it's possible. It's possible.
Is there common law marriage in Florida?
There's not common law marriage in Florida, no.
So
you do actually have to be married and have a license.
I mean, is common law marriage fairly common in other states? Do you know? Because people ask me all the time, well, I've been with her for 10 years, so might as well consider her as married. But I don't know if that even happens in other states, really.
So Georgia actually recognizes common law marriage. They also have a at-fault state divorce. So when you are cheating in your marriage, doing things you're not supposed to do, all of that can come into calculation for alimony and asset and debt distribution. It is not like that here in Florida. However, cheaters do beware. If you are depleting assets, a.k.a. taking your paramour/girlfriend out to vacations, or boyfriends, ladies, we're both guilty. On dates, vacations, that's considered depleting assets, and you may have to actually pay your spouse for half of that money that you've spent
Exactly.
on the affair.
Oh no.
But there is also such thing as palimony, where, yes, if you are in a relationship for a long time and that person has been supporting you, then there is a civil remedy there for you. I mean, it's kind of hard to prove. People don't do it often, but be careful who you ask to live with you.
It is Behind the Law, ESPN 580 Orlando. Justin Clark here talking to attorney Erica Burns, Purely Legal. What's the website?
It is purely.legal.
Huh?
Yes.
All right. I
Right? See
have
how we
seen
work
those
that up?
new ones. Yeah.
www.purely.legal.
Got it. Same-sex marriage. You know, a lot of states have been finally allowing people of the same gender to get married. You know, thank God. I'm sort of a compassionate Republican, to be honest with you, and I literally thought about leaving the Republican Party because of their stupid resistance to same-sex
I
marriage.
admire
But
that.
it seems like a lot of people have come around, even on the right side of things, have come around and to allow or to agree to the same-sex marriage thing. But how has it affected the divorce cases?
So same-sex couples are going through the same process. Nothing has changed. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago it was difficult because even when marriage has been recognized, the divorce process was still a little bit difficult because the statutes always said husband and wife. So now when you're preparing documents, it's like, okay, well, if my document says husband and husband, is it no longer valid? Is my final judgment no longer valid? But right now we have no problems with it.
How do we calculate alimony?
So alimony, the first thing you have to prove is that there's a need and the other party has the ability to pay. That's step one. That's pretty much the biggest step. That's the hardest step for attorneys to get across. And the need is typically going to be based on the fact of someone not working or maybe having healthcare issues or even just living a fabulous lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you, quote unquote, need to keep that up. And then the ability to pay is basically just going to be based on the other party's income.
And then is it more advantageous, or will the court require the husband or the wife, whoever's paying the alimony, to pay through the court system, or can you just go stroke them a check and deliver it to the house?
Yes, you can just stroke a check and deliver it to the house, and that's honestly the best way to do it because if you have to do it through the state, they charge you like $7 every time you send
really?
it. Yeah.
Got it.
That adds up if it's permanent alimony.
Yeah, exactly. So but how do you really decide? Let's go through an example, okay? Let's say I'm listening right now. My husband, I'm going through a divorce, and I make $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Great salary. It's $120,000 a year. Now my wife is, or almost former wife is, she works at a daycare center. She's at $10 an hour, $11 an hour, something like that. So she's not making a ton of money, but she is making some. How do you balance that out?
So how long have they been married?
10 years.
10 years. Okay. So at $120,000 a year, it's $10,000 a month gross. So alimony is calculated off of net. So he's really probably bringing in about seven and a half. The court is going to look at if they have children. He's going to have to pay child support first. There's also 4 different types of alimony that he could be hit with. You have bridge the gap alimony, which is basically something that's given pretty freely. It's limited to 2 years, but it's adjusting from a 2-income household to now 1-income household. You also have rehabilitative alimony. So say the daycare spouse, she started working at a daycare, but she was supposed to be a doctor. But she gave that up to live with the family. And rehabilitative alimony is basically a structured, strict plan where the husband would essentially have to buy her degree. And I say essentially, but it's specifically he would have to buy her degree. I'm trying to make it sound better. And then you have durational and permanent alimony. 10 years, it would depend on, how long she was working at the daycare center. But I would say that, and they can't really take much more than 40% of his income for everything.
Okay.
So, he would be expected to pay depending on what their house looked like, what kind of car she was driving, if they had nannies for the children, probably $2,000
For alimony.
to $2,500.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
because you can add rehabilitative, permanent, and bridge the gap all together.
Attorney Justin Clark asking questions of attorney Erica Burns. Sometimes the only worse thing than having one lawyer in the room is having 2. But the only good thing for you is you're getting some advice and you're not having to pay for it today from Erica Burns. Talking all things divorce, alimony, child custody, and that brings me to child custody.
Yes.
How is custody really determined when you go through a divorce?
So it's based on the best interest of the child standard. That is the legal name of the standard, and it is broken down into 20 different provisions. I'll name off some of the ones that people would probably, know just in common sense. One is going to be facilitating a relationship with the other parent. So that basically means if you're a parent who is keeping your child from visiting with the other parent, regardless if paternity has been established or not, because eventually one day you'll have to face the courts and explain why you were keeping your child from the other parent, it's a big no-no. And there's actually statutes out there that promote and want the courts to remove the child from the home of the parent who has not been facilitating the relationship into the home of the other parent. So please be aware of that. Courts strongly feel that it's always in the best interest of the child to spend equally amount of time with both parents. They're also considering the community that a parent can build around a child, the consistencies, doing homework, cooking food, keeping them out of drug-infested environments, being able to communicate with the other